Today we're going to look at the letter T. T. Very nice letter, very nice. The reason being that it is something you can do a lot of different things with. So let's have a start with something very, very simple. Unsealed tea. Couldn't be simpler, right? And the fun thing is that when you start with this semi-circular thing, you can actually use that for something else too. I'll show you that in a second. Let's do that again. Unsealed tea. So make a nice little round thing, and then we have a little swerve there. All right, isn't that cute? That's cute. Now, this tea is particularly fun, but of course we can also do something else. Let's do that a little bit smaller, because we may as well. We can do something like the foundational tea. Foundational tea, a lot of fun too. Very long. Can make that a little shorter for nicer proportion. There you go. Little tea. All right. I always like that. Now you can vary a little bit with the with how big you want the little loop to be. Right. You can make it a bit bigger. You can make it a bit smaller. I always kind of like this one because it's almost like an F but mirrored. You know. This is some of the fun you can have with the tea. Now, this foundational, that was foundational. Here we have unseal. Of course, you can do the unseal a bit smaller as well. That's fun. It's always nice when you use a 6mm nib because it just looks really good. But the unseal I always think is a fun letter, especially the T. I also really like the U in unseal, but we haven't gotten that far yet. So, but the T and the N, I think, are particularly fun letters in unseal. Anyway, we're not doing the N today. Let's continue. What else could we do? Well, we could do something more along the Gothic side of things, right? Let's start with just our minuscule T, the lowercase, right? Straight down, make a little bit of a flourish there, and then you go straight there. All right, nice little T, looks good. You can do all sorts of fun things with that. You can also make that a bit smaller, of course. There, that's an option too. Also a lot of fun. You could, when it comes to teas, you can do slightly more fun stuff with a springy-ish nib, right? For example, something like this. That's always fun. Of course, when you're flexi writing, you always apply a little bit of pressure on the downstroke and not so much on the upstroke. So that's an option. Someone just actually, that was a very good suggestion. So we can do some really explosive unseal. Here we have some TNT, right? What else could you do? Well, you could do a majuscule T, right? There are some people who like to write "the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog" a lot. Several things you can do for an uppercase T, right? One that I always like a lot is this. So I like the loops in that. and you can make that a bit, you know, you make it as grand as you like. So let's write the word the, just because we can, because we've seen all those letters. I always like that, because it's a very simple way to do it, and if you just practice a bit, you can really make that flourish nice, and you get a very nice, as I said, you can experiment a little bit with that, but you can really make that look flashier and you know, as situation calls. Now you can also do other things. What's another type of tea you could do? You could make it a bit more formal, a little bit of pressure down, less pressure like this, right? That's an option. Then you can choose two things. You can either choose to not make the flourish and this descender line up, or you know, if you really want to, of course, you can also make it line up. And then you can play with the flourish itself. So let me just flip the page here. Right, you can make it very simple. You can make it really not simple, and you can do anything in between. So with this uppercase T, you have a lot of options that I think can be a lot of fun. Now, what about something like an Old English capital, right? What about the uppercase T? I'm just going to put these pens out of the way because I'll knock them off the page. There we go. Well, remember what I said earlier. That was not the greatest, but you have this half round shape in the unseal, right? You can do a similar thing with Old English. Very similar opening, but from there we're going to make a little bit more complex. All right. Straight down, and then you make that little descender there. Then inside, make a little flourish. Then we can put a little straight line down there, right? And then you actually do something that is very similar to the unseal. You finish it up like this, right? So here we have a very simple Old English T that you can use. You can expand upon that a little bit. I mean, it's also a matter of you just do what you like and what you think looks good. You can add another line there. You can make little loops there. So you can make it infinitely more complicated. But the basic form, I would say, is something like... This was a really nasty one because I slipped a bit there, but bear with me. That's the basic form. All right, let's see if we can do that a little bit more prettily. So, here are some of the options that that you have. Now, let's see what we could realistically write. It's very wet, so I'm just going to leave that open. Start on this page here. What could you write? Well, something I enjoy. And these are all letters we have studied before. T, right? Or the other T. T, that's an option. You could write that in an unsealed script. You can do it in foundational. All these options. And then maybe finally we should just do it in the Old English. Straight lines. There you go. So here we have a number of options. The letter T, rather a simple letter, but not as bad as the O, that you can definitely have fun with and experiment with. And I think that especially when it comes to capital T's, and of course in the English language there's quite a couple of words that start with a T. So when you do a lot of writing, you will find out that quite a couple of sentences may actually start with a word that starts with the T, whether it's the or something along those lines. So there is a lot of opportunity to have fun and to play with your handwriting, to do things that are enjoyable, and to really have fun. And that's the most important thing. So here we have it, the letter T. We hope this was useful, and we will gladly see you next week. Bye!